Create an assignment here. Okay, now please don't be confused. We've got more options here than what's available on your PLMS because we actually remove those that requires internet connection. Okay, so for the moment, yeah, guess I'll just reject my drive and put it back again so that run it completely. So at least you're also seeing here some things that you can do if ever you'll experience the same thing as me. Normally, this is actually very fast. And okay, I've just restarted my SSD card, ejected it properly, and now I'm restarting my Spoodle. Because as much as I want to demonstrate it to you right now, I want to show it to you in your own PLMS environment so that you can relate. No, so as what you have seen, you have a lot of options under our online learning management system because we activated most of the features, even those that requires internet connection. But for your version, which is downloadable, we made it smaller so that it will become more portable. And we only made available those features that would be useful even with challenging internet connection. Okay, but anyway, it will look like this also on PLMS. And let me just type in an assignment. So I'll just do assignment here. Let's say assignment, or let's call it, in my case, because I don't want to do exactly the same thing as what I want to challenge you later to do, I'll call this one checkpoint. Okay, checkpoint number 1. I will just create here that the day today will be, okay, say 1 week from now, and then allow submissions from starting today, which is September 23, and then I will just disable my remind me option, and I will enable this so that, say, I could still accept submissions until October 5. Okay, and that would be, let's say, October 5. That's the minute. That's the hour and the minute. No, and I will specify it's going to be yes. So it can be the same as your due date, but it cannot be earlier than that. Okay, because it's like you will still accept submissions, but it's after the due date already, so it's considered already late. Okay, so if I set this one to October 30, that's 1 month after the due date. That means to say 1 month after it's due, you will still accept late submissions. Okay, now so under submission types, this is where you can specify online text or file submissions, and say you only want 1 file. I'm not going to do the challenge that I posted on the screen earlier. And let's say I'm going to accept an audio file. Let's say that I'm expecting my students to submit the recorded interview portion of a particular. So submit your recording during the interview portion with your respondent. Okay, something like that. Now, so I'm asking them to submit an audio file, and it will only be 5 MB. Now note that you can set it to any size here. I'm not going to set any feedback type. Then the submission settings is by default no. Okay, now, and as I mentioned, this means to say that if the student will still make revisions on the already submitted file, that would still be possible as long as it's not yet the due date. And then here for the grade, by default, it's 100. So tama po si Sir kanina. The default setting for the grade for the assignment is 100, but you can set that on any grade that you want. In fact, this is point. You also have scale, no? And you can also set it as none. Say for example, you only want to submit them to submit that particular assignment, but it's not graded because it's part of a much bigger deliverable later on. Then you can set the grade to none. Okay, let me just set that to point and say you have here the grade to pass. Okay, so say for example that your requirement is that when you somehow evaluate this assignment, the grading, the grade requirement should be at least 80 for them to pass. No, so let's just put 80. Okay, and then no grouping, and here. Okay, now this is what we did not discuss yesterday because this is sort of like an advanced setting. No, so what is restriction? Okay, if you remember in the introduction part on Soul, no, when you were asked to introduce yourself, it is not automatically marked as complete until you are able to do certain things. And so that's what you call restriction. So you can add restrictions on your assignment. And this is also true for quizzes. Now, so they actually have the same option. So the first button here is activity completion. So this requires students to complete or not complete another activity. So these are sort of like a conditions that you can put on that particular, that you can attach to that particular assignment or quiz. Now, in this case, this is an assignment, so we're referring to the assignment that we have just posted. So activity completion, so you can click that. Notice that an additional options will appear. Now, so this is something that you need to set. No, so a student must or must not. Okay, so if you say the student must be able to complete a particular activity, then of course you have to set must. Okay, now if you say you want this assignment to be available only for those who were not able to submit another assignment, then you choose must not. Okay, so in this case must, and then you choose here. So what is that activity that must be completed? No, so for example, let's say because I'm on Soul, so let's say that you have another assignment called activity 1-A. Okay, so this particular assignment is restricted only for students who have already completed activity 1A. Okay, so this activity 1A, the activity that you have selected, okay, because it's already posted somewhere in the same course, must be marked complete. So you can also set this, must not be marked complete, must be complete with passing grade, must be complete with fail grade. So these are assignments that that has restrictions. So it may only be available for students who are failing. So say, for example, you have students who were not able to pass a particular assignment. They submitted, but they did not get the passing grade. So you want to create another assignment for them so that they could attain a passing grade overall for that course. Then you can set additional requirements for them, and this is what you need to do. No, so that this is only one. Now you can delete this or you can add more restrictions. So when you add restrictions, it means to say that all of those things that you have specified here must be true. So for example, if I'm just going to add a restriction and I set the date, okay, so notice that it adds them up. So the activity 1A must be marked complete, and okay, you have this additional requirement. So and the date is, so you can set the date that um, that this one will be available. Okay, so this is the date, or you can remove that and then you can add other restrictions, such as, for example, you can require students to achieve a specified grade. No, so this one is for accessing. So the date, okay, of access. So you can prevent access until a specified date and time. So that's where you can specify a date, or you can also add restrictions on the grade. So you can allow or you can require students to achieve a specified grade. So and okay, you're going to specify that, say, for example, the grade of the student for activity 1A must be greater than or must be less than. So you can activate that. So if you're saying that for this particular activity to be accessed by the student, this activity 1, another assignment, must be marked complete, and his grade should be, for example, 30. So that's percent, huh? That's percent. So this is something that you can also do. Now, you can add or you can remove. So it's really up to you, no? So if you have added a particular restriction and you decide to remove that, just click on this delete icon, the one that looks like an X. Okay, or you can add more restrictions. So marami po tayong options on the restriction. It could be also a profile. So for example, you want to make this only available to a particular student. So you can specify the email address here. Okay, now, so if the student's email address is equivalent to, for example, jvforster@gmail.com, then these are restrictions, very narrow restrictions on what this or to whom this particular assignment will be available. Okay, so usually naman we only do this if we want to give parang certain additional requirements based on the student standing. And then you can also add restriction set. So add restriction here is actually very complete, no? So it applies to complex logic. So most often the only thing that we suggest that you do are the 4 options, no? So those are the things that you can do. You can also remove that. Okay. No, so yung restriction set is yun. Remove na lang natin. Okay, so and then activity completion. So when is it marked complete? So you can actually manually set it as complete. That's why at one point I think I mentioned there was a question by one of the participants, when is it marked complete? No, so it depends on how this one is set. No, so it's either it's manually marked by the student, or it's automatically marked as complete when the conditions are met. So those conditions are the ones that you can specify here. So for example, the student must view this activity to complete it. So in other words, you will just post this assignment, and once the student is able to click it and to open it or view the assignment, then it's already enough for this activity to be completed. So that's one. Another is you can also require grades. So you can specify student must receive a grade to complete this activity. So this is only applicable if right after a particular assignment, you immediately um, set the grade. No, then you can also say student must submit to this activity to complete it. So that means you can also set the time when this particular restriction or completion will be activated. Okay, and so I guess that's the only two part of the settings of your assignment. Actually, this restrict access and activity completion is also available in the assignment.
Let us now open our new virtual classroom that we have just created. So in my case, it is the section B of ISB 11. So this time, let us go back again and perform the import process. So we will go to the gear admin icon. Okay, admin settings, course administration, and then let's go to the import. Okay, when we click on the import, so we will now import our course contents that are found in your first section. So in my case, I will copy the contents of ISB 11, this is my section A, to my section B so that I don't have to redo the activities and resources that I have placed there. Okay, so let's click the original virtual classroom. And then let's click continue. So again, in the initial settings window, you can find here the default settings that will be imported. And as you can see, all of them are checked by default by the system. So you will just accept that as is. And then let's click next so we can proceed with each phase. So under the schema settings, as I have discussed earlier, so these are the list of activities and resources that are found in my original ISB section, in my section A. So I had announcements, I had a section on IT and history, I had history of computers file, I have an image, I also have some videos. So in your case, I'd like you to deselect two activities or resources just to check if those were not included in the import later. So in my case, I will just deselect this one, for example, and this one, the sample book. So you can choose which to unchecked. Are we done on this part? Okay, so how about the others? You just check two. The rest, you just accept it. All right, so let us now click on next. So this is now the confirmation and review. This is just to let you review and confirm if those are really the things, the activities and resources that you would like to be imported to your new virtual classroom. So those that will be included in the import will have the green check, and those that will not be included will have the red X mark. Okay, so you can find all of the things that will be included and not included in the import process. If there are some things that you are not sure that you want to import and you want to go back, then you can just click on previews. But if you are okay with all those things that are checked and unchecked, then you can now start performing the import process. Okay? So can we start the perform import process? Or shall I go back to which part?
Perform import, ma'am.
Okay, so let's perform the import process. Okay, so your progress bar should be displayed there, and this time there shouldn't be any errors that you should encounter. Okay, so I hope you were able to do this successfully. So anyway, for the resetting of course, from resetting of course, the purpose of the reset is utilizing the virtual classroom, but resetting other but resetting the data. Okay, so it will be treated as one uh, virtual classroom that has no user data so that you can reuse it. Okay, so this is also another option. You don't back it up, you don't want to back it up, but you will just reset. So here, when you're going to click on the reset option, there is a warning. This page allows you to empty a course of user data while retaining the activities and other settings. So if you have no plans of backing it up, you don't want to go to the hassle of backing it up, restoring it, or importing it, you can actually, the easiest way is actually to reset the course. But the problem is you will be emptying your user data, of which if you will need it in the future, if there are some questions, for example, from the students, you have no way of rechecking. So still, we would recommend that you will back up your data. So anyway, this reset course is an option that is provided in PLMS. So here, it allows you to empty a course of user data. So you can choose the start date and the course end date of your course, and then you are given options on which to delete. So you have there, by default, they are not checked. And then you have the different roles. The gradebook is not used for PLMS, groups as well. The assignments, you can choose if you want to delete the submissions, the user overrides, all the group overrides. For example, if you will delete that one, how about those comments, those events? You can also check that one. So you have the option to reset some and retain some of the parts of the course, some of the parts of your user data. Then if you have added some books, then forums as well, deleting posts, deleting ratings, and then other options are also there. Even quizzes, you have deleting quiz attempts and other things. And then you can just check select default. So when you're going to click select default, it is the system that will check which resources, activities, and events will be deleted. Okay, so after that, you can reset the course. So again, if you want to reset the course, if you don't want to do restore or import, you can just reset, but warning, you will be deleting the user course data. So for you to perform the reset, you just go to admin and then reset. You will be brought to this window. Then you just have to click here, select default. It is a system that will automatically check which will be deleted. And then you just have to click on reset course. So when you're going to click on reset course, you will still be able to see the list of tasks, components, and their status. And then you just have to click on continue. So right now, all of these are being deleted. The status is okay. So meaning to say there is no problem with that. Then you just have to click on continue. the backing up of your course data. So why is it important that you will back up your course data? So that we will be able to restore it in the future. We will be able to reuse the activities, the resources that we have included in this virtual classroom. Okay, so what do we do in order for us to back up our data? So kindly open a virtual classroom. So preferably the one that has a lot of contents already, the one that you use starting with day one. So let us use that. And then again, let's go back to the admin settings icon or your gear icon. And then before your import, you can find here your backup. Okay, so the backup option is used for you to come up with a backup data of your virtual classroom for restoration in the future. You can reuse, recycle the activities. You can add the same resources that you have added in your first virtual classroom. So like, for example, if you're teaching programming one in first semester, and then you will be teaching the same subject by the first semester of the next school year, then you can just utilize those activities, those resources that you have added. Okay, you don't have to do it again. And then make some modifications if you like. Okay, so again, we go to the admin settings, then we go to backup. So this is the first window that pops up that is open the moment you click on the backup option. So under the backup window, you can find here the initial settings, the schema, the confirmation and review, the perform backup, and the complete. So if you notice, more or less the process is the same with your import, except that with the import, you're copying contents to your new virtual classroom. Here, it's the virtual classroom itself that you are performing the backup. Okay, so for a while. All right, so we have here the different settings. Then we will just accept the default settings, and then let's go to the next step. So if you just want to accept again the default settings of the system, then that means you're going to back up everything. You can just click on jump to final step, similar to clicking the import button or duplicate button or this one. You're going to back up without thinking of all those processes. Okay, so let me just go through each step so you can see how it looks like. So let us now click on next. So here, just like what you have seen in the import screen, it is also listed here the activities and the resources that are currently in your virtual classroom, and they are selected by default. This means these are the ones that will be included in your backup. So if you don't want to include some, then you can just uncheck them. So like, for example, I have two announcements here. So I will remove that. Or of course, there would be separate announcements in my next section. So I will just remove the announcements part, or I will just let this remain. And then I will be copying everything. I will remove this one because this is not related to the course. Then let me, okay, so assuming I will accept the rest. So let me now click on next. Yeah, okay, so again, you get the confirmation and review just like the import. I have unchecked some items. So this one were not included by default. So that is why there is a check there is an X mark. And then the course logs, the grade history, were not included. I have, on my part, I have unchecked the announcements because there are two announcements. So that is why one has a check mark, the other has an X mark. All right. So if you're satisfied with all of those things that are presented on your screen, then you can start performing the backup. Okay. In your personal menu page, you should have your sample virtual classroom. You click on it in order to open it. And then you click on the admin settings. And then you click on restore. So that you should be able to open the restore course window. Okay, so you should now be in the restore. So you should be able to see the import a backup file, course backup area. You should have these kinds of things on your window. So we will now click on choose a file. All right, so everybody kindly click choose a file. And then click browse. Then try to look for the location of your backup file. So in my case, I have it here. So I was able to rename my file, just added an extension of Sardan. So I know that that is my backup file. And then click upload this file. Okay, so are you now here? Were you able to locate your backup file? And then you can now click on upload this file. I have here now my backup file. It's already reflected here. So the next thing that I'm going to do is to click restore. Okay, finished backing up. Very good. Then you may proceed with restore. So let's click restore together. So it's already restoring. You have the progress bar of the restoration process. Then I have here the backup details. And then the resources and activities that were restored. And then I just have to scroll down and you can find here continue. So please click continue so you can proceed with the restoration process successfully. So anyway, for the resetting of course, the purpose of the reset is utilizing the virtual classroom, but resetting but resetting the data. Okay, so it will be treated as one virtual classroom that has no user data so that you can reuse it. Okay, so this is also another option. You don't back it up, you don't want to back it up, but you will just reset. So here, when you're going to click on the reset option, there is a warning. This page allows you to empty a course of user data while retaining the activities and other settings. So if you have no plans of backing it up, you don't want to go to the hassle of backing it up, restoring it, or importing it, you can actually, the easiest way is actually to reset the course. But the problem is you will be emptying your user data, of which if you will need it in the future, if there are some questions, for example, from the students, you have no way of rechecking. So still, we would recommend that you will back up your data. So anyway, this reset course is an option that is provided in PLMS. So here, it allows you to empty a course of user data. So you can choose the start date and the course end date of your course, and then you are given options on which to delete. So you have there, you by default they are not checked, and then you have the different rules. The gradebook is not used for PLMS groups as well. The assignments, you can choose if you want to delete the submissions, the user overrides, all the group overrides. For example, if you will delete that one, how about those comments, those events? You can also check that one. So you have the option to reset some and retain some of the parts of the course, some of the parts of your user data. Then if you have added some books, then forums as well, deleting posts, deleting ratings, and then other options are also there. Even quizzes, you have deleting quiz attempts and other things. And then you can just check select default. So when you're going to click select default, it is the system that will check which resources, activities, and events will be deleted. Okay, so after that, you can reset the course. So again, if you want to reset the course, if you don't want to do restore or import, you can just reset, but warning, you will be deleting the user course data. So for you to perform the reset, you just go to admin and then reset. You will be brought to this window. Then you just have to click here, select default. It is a system that will automatically check which will be deleted. And then you just have to click on reset course. So when you're going to click on reset course, you will still be able to see the list of tasks, components, and their status. And then you just have to click on continue. So right now, all of these are being deleted. The status is okay. So meaning to say there is no problem with that. Then you just have to click on continue.